my privilege to invite Dr. Violeta Bulc, who shall guide us from equality to eco-civilization. No small leap, but one we rather need. Dr. Violeta Bulc, the extraordinary human she is our next speaker. Former Deputy Prime Minister of Slovenia and former EU Commissioner for Transport. She is a visionary leader, founder and curator of Eco-Civilization Movement, a global initiative dedicated to fostering a holistic, sustainable, and interconnected world. Her journey spans across technology, politics, and innovation, underpinned by a profound commitment to ecological and societal transformation. With over 40 years of experience, she has held significant roles. Dr. Bulc is also a sought-after lecturer and visiting professor, sharing her insights on the interconnectedness of humanity and the environment. Her work transcends traditional boundaries, advocating for a holistic approach to global challenges. Her political career commenced in 2013. She was appointed as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Development, Strategic Projects and Cohesion in the Slovenian government. In November 2014, she was appointed as the European Commissioner for Transport, a role she held until December 2019. During her tenure, she championed digitization and innovation in transport, focusing on creating a more sustainable and efficient European transport system. From pioneering roles in telecoms and founding Vivacom to steering EU transport policy with the panache of a conductor orchestrating a symphony, she has seamlessly married innovation, governance, and ecological stewardship. Today, she will share her vision for an eco-civilization, reminding us that the path to a sustainable society and gender-balanced world is not only paved with technology and policy, but with consciousness, courage, and the audacity to reimagine civilization itself. If you're ready for some philosophical sparks, guys, sprinkled with actionable insights, Dr. Bulc is your guide. With all humility, over to you, Violeta.
Dear Sanchita, this was an incredible introduction. I feel very humble, and I hope I can live up to your incredible introduction. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it was a pleasure to listen to Mr. Benedict and Linnea about their perspectives. I will join a little bit the topic that you proposed for this really timing and very important session, and of course then linked it to the potentials of a new civilizational paradigm. I'm not sure if I can share my slides directly, but I send you an email, so in case that I cannot see options to be activated for me to share it. So if you are so kind, maybe you can pull the presentation of your email, but without losing too much time, let me really express again a full support for your incredible drive for Green India, and especially not doing it only from a technical point of view, but connecting your heart and your mind and really seeing long-term sustainable solutions that can emerge from this important connection. So it's a real honor to support you and all around you who are trying to achieve that in amplifying and strengthening the voices that care. And if any time today, this is essential for our livelihood and our future as humanity on this planet Earth. So this title, Women, Entrepreneurship and the Climate Economy, is at the core of this transition into the future society, which we are just learning how to imagine. And I would definitely invite everyone to dare to reimagine again the future, because whatever we live today, somebody imagined. And we are now invited to bring our own sparkles, to bring our own visions into the place, and really start working together towards the new vision that these generations are striving for. So first, I'd like to make a very strong statement saying no woman inclusion, no green transition. And studies show, and my colleagues previously already have mentioned some very important points, that organizations, communities, and households where women participate in leadership make more sustainable choices, better energy use, better waste reduction, better conservation practices. And it's interesting enough, from my experience as a commissioner, it was extremely useful for companies to start hiring also female drivers, because their green strategies in improving the greenification of transport dramatically improved, because women brought more caring for the vehicles, more caring for the customers, more caring for the fuel consumptions, less accidents and less repair. So all of a sudden colleagues realized that that is possible. So that was an inspiration to many, and that's how we learn from each other and move forward towards better results. In addition, women entrepreneurs are disproportionately involved in sustainable-oriented sectors, which is a pity, and it is sort of a contradictory to what I said first. Here, corporations are really invited to use the capacity that is still there by bringing the equal teams on board, because we need both. We need both type of mindsets, because only when society works together we can hope for a really sustainable green transition, which actually means also for women that they can be really efficient and very resourceful managers for water, energy, food, and many other areas where sustainability is of essential point. The good thing is that the programs of this nature are emerging, and we have them in Europe and in India, and they help to increase the participation and adaptation rates, and of course they bring more sustainability into the playground. So if we could just do the presentation mode, Sanchita, would be great. No, not go back, please. Yes, and just presentation mode. Super. Thank you. So please, if you can share the next slide. I really was curious myself, what are the statistics behind these claims? Because this is somehow in our jargon already, that female presence is not adequate, but the figures are even worse. I took the big picture of a global VC's venture fundings in 2024, and female-only funding teams, previous slide please, female-only funding teams represent only 2.3% of all investments made. In the EU, that number is even lower. It's 1.8. It's even worse in the US. It's just only 1%. It's a bit better when we're talking about the mixed teams, but all male teams still receive over 83% of all the VC investments. I can challenge that, of course, and share my points of view why this probably is the case. I would certainly mention the criteria that are used. How really the sustainable criteria are used in evaluating the business proposals. Then I would also add that who are the evaluation teams? Who are people who are sitting in these teams? Do they have the awareness and knowledge about the potentials that really a female mindset brings to the table when we're talking about sustainability, and especially when we work together in a mixed teams? So all these questions we are invited to take a closer look at and really put some attention to. And it's interesting to take a look at some information related to India and EU, since I've been focusing on this perspective a little bit more. And we can see that thank you very much for this slide. Yes, please go. There is a significant gap in both, of course, how much female green-led ideas are financed. However, a striking finding, at least for me, was that there is a relatively high share of women directors in climate tech startups in India, around 39% in the government circles, and strong grassroots programs like V-Power and SSP, which are delivering some great results that scale clean energy entrepreneurship among women. However, this does not necessarily translate into proportionate, of course, VC funding or any other types of funding, especially when we're talking about scalability. So yes, okay, we are making some first important steps, but there is so much more to do. In the EU, women are increasingly present in deep tech and sustainability startups, but capital capture remains tiny compared to their presence. So again, policy programs like Women in Tech EU or EIC are expanding and boosting pipelines, but still it will not happen without a higher level of awareness of the society as a whole. And this is so much that we can still do here. What I'd like to also bring an attention to, which I found it very interesting while I was preparing for this session, is that this idea of female green entrepreneurship it appears under so many different names. So when you try to capture statistics, they don't end up because they use different terminology. So yes, there is much more to do also in the way how we capture and store data, how we make analysis, and how we really define the gaps that need to be addressed. Thank you. This is a good example for Slovenia now. Previously, I compared India and EU, but Slovenia is really trying hard to narrow this gap between investments in female and male entrepreneurship idea, and really stimulating the gender equality culture in a sense that the mixed teams can deliver best. But still, statistics are good. Women account for 32% of workers in green task jobs in Slovenia, and surpassing the OECD statistics, which is currently 28.3%. Even as you could see in one of these pictures, the gender gap pay is relatively small, and we are on the 3rd place in the EU, the way how we manage this challenge. However, when you again take a look at the VC level, you see a very similar statistics that I shared before. So again, we are now invited to narrow the focus on gaps and then manage them really responsibly. Please, next slide. So what I'm gonna ask you to consider with me, if you go to the previous one, please, is that we really need an ecosystem approach. So it's whenever we try to address just one very narrow, pointy element, somehow we overlook the big picture, and those actions are not always really very efficient. So when we're talking about an ecosystem approach, there is much more that we could do. And I would like to point out a couple of really elements that I find extremely exciting, also when I try to imagine how this transitional process to a more green and more nature-like, value-add nature-like civilization can look like. So to be very concrete, very much tailored funding mechanisms that address the specific barriers women face. Again, I said criteria, evaluation process, evaluating team structures, and invest a lot in teaching men and women how to work together, how to really come up with the balanced solutions for these pressing issues. Of course, training is a logical consequences of that. But again, even this training, we are very much invited to start bringing modern approaches to it, participatory modeling, really engagement, proactive thinking, lateral thinking, and challenging the existing solutions and structures in order to deliver better, not to deliver revolutions, but to deliver sustainable, really safe and green transition. And this is something that is so simple, but at the same time, it's very, very important for us to grasp the concept of. So now I'd just like to say a couple of words related to, I also prepared the African positive story, which for me is very stimulating, because with a very focused GAPP initiative, they managed to deliver 60% of female representation in green energy sector compared to 32%, which was for a classical one. So, but despite of this progress, of course, women remain severely underrepresented across levels of management in clean energy companies. So here again, it's a clear message that we can do better. At the end, let me just bridge all this information to something that Sanchita said at the beginning. And I would say this transition is not only about women. We are at the crossroads. Are we going to go with the fall of civilization, or are we going to reinvent ourselves? Are we going to reinvent ourselves and move towards transhumanization when humanity will no longer have a space? Or are we going to go in towards the eco-civilization, which is the concept I'm proposing? And I'm inviting you to just bear with me and try to imagine the transition from how to grow faster to how to live in balance. And for that, indeed, we need a new philosophy of life, where nature is present in decision-making. So that we work together with nature, for nature, and to nature. And here are those new qualities that come forward. First is the systemic view, empowered with some very strong messages that yes, together we know how to do it. Individually, we all fail. Together, we know how to create the right solutions. Individually, we will just address a short-term challenges. And together, we can create this new hope in which we could jointly thrive. In eco-civilization, green transition is not only a technical, but spiritual and ethical transition. And yes, women, we are at the core of this transition, coming together, never excluding, always including our friends, male partners, and the associations that come from India, like G100 Association, Wiki associations. They just are proving examples how we can do that together. And this transition is transition of humanity, not only women. And just to give you a clue how we can shift our focus while we are in this transition. Like in eco-civilization, we treat water as the memory and flow of life. And water is not a resource to be owned, but a relationship to be honored. For example, in a relationship with energy, energy we look as the pulse of transformation and represents the vital force of this transition. And food, the embodiment of connections. They say people who eat together then can also deliver together. So food systems are really acts of co-creation, not exploitation. And on those wings, I invite you to see the relationship between men and women as a relationship between humanity and the planet Earth, as a relationship with life itself. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you for that extraordinary vision, Violeta. You have taken us from the boardroom to the biosphere and reminded us that civilization itself must now learn to live within ecological grammar, right?
Yes.
A thought at once humbling and exhilarating.